Sorry, what about? Gotta turn it so it can see all of everybody. All right, and good morning, good morning. Okay, maybe can you guys hear me very well? If we could get like a thumbs up in the chat, if everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. And I got a response. So this is an in-person meeting, so I do have a parent here, but I am also recording this session so you can look at the information at a later time. Good morning, everyone. So if everybody could just type in the chat, good morning, that way we can get a roster on who all is attending. I see someone else, another parent came in. Okay, thank you so much. Again, I'm just asking if all the parents can type in the chat, good morning, so that we can get a running list of who's here. Thank you so much for doing that. When my charger decides to work this morning. All right, thank you so much. And I do have the computer screen faced in the direction so that you can see that we are in a face-to-face meeting. We do have some parents here. And I will be recording this meeting. So you guys can have a reference later. Hey, I think we got everyone. Okay, so I am going to be sharing my screen, and the Milestones presentation is on a PowerPoint, so I will be going through the slides in real time, but I'll also be recording. In addition to, if you guys cannot see the screen, if you could just let me know in the chat, like maybe drop a word or two that says I can see or I can't see. Okay, screen looks great. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure you guys could see the screen before I begin recording. Okay. Perfect. All right, great. All right, then I'm going to press record, and I'm assuming I have everyone's consent of recording.
Yes.
Okay, all right. We'll get started. All right, so again, welcome to the Georgia Milestones Parent Workshop. I'm Ms. Bishop, I'm the assistant principal. I coordinate all state and district tests here at Kingsley. So in addition to the milestones, I coordinate MAP, I coordinate access, which is for our ESOL students, and a bunch of other tests that we do here at Kingsley. I coordinate those as well. So the Georgia Milestones Assessment is a comprehensive summative assessment that all third, fourth, and fifth grade students are required to take. The test goes all the way up to middle school, so sixth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders take the milestones. And the milestones is criterion reference, meaning that it measures how well your students know math, science, English language arts, based on the content standards for the state of Georgia.
Only math, English, science.
So for your baby, for David, he's in third. So he'll just be testing math and reading. But if you are a fifth grader, you'll take math, reading, and science. Fourth graders also only take the math and the reading. Hey, did you guys have any questions in Teams land? No? Okay, we'll move on. So this is the schedule for the milestones, and it has been published. So it has been sent out from DeKalb County. So we are able to share this. This year, it looks like they put more makeup days into the schedule. Previously, there have been not as many non-testing days and not as many makeup days. So this year, it looks like they're giving a lot of kids and parents opportunities to test equitably. So that's really good. And we will also send this out to you all closer to the time of testing. So the students have spring break, and then they have a week to kind of prepare, get their minds right, and then we begin that third week in April on a Wednesday. That's a Wednesday, yes.
Wow, this is bad.
So it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday, April 22nd is a makeup day. The 23rd, which is a Tuesday, fifth graders take science 1 and 2. And then the third, fourth, and fifth graders resume back April 24th and 25th. The 26th is a makeup day. That is a Friday, I believe. And then the 29th, which is a Monday, is a non-testing day, meaning we do not test that day.
So what happened for kids getting here?
For students who miss the, they have to make it up on one of the designated makeup days. So if your baby is not here on the 17th, 18th, or 19th, then they'll need to make up sections 1, 2, and 3 on the makeup day, which is the 22nd, or that 26th. The 23rd, I believe, I'm trying to find out right now if that's a makeup day for us, but because it's a general testing day, sometimes they don't want the coordinators to test other grades. They want them to focus on that one grade, which is why. So I'm gonna find out if the 23rd can be a makeup day. I don't think so, but I can let you know.
So if they coming 17, 18, 19, so they don't need to come in, they don't have to do it in the other dates, right?
Yes, for math, yes. So if you have a third, if you have a third grader or a fourth grader, they do have to take the ELA sections 1 through 3. They don't necessarily, if they take all 3 sections the first 3 days, these 2 days, they won't need to make up anything, but they'll need to be here for the 24th and 25th.
So it's all the state of this?
Yes, it is a
So
state.
all the schools doing the same thing?
All schools.
On the same days.
Their window is the same, so their sections might be different, but the window for the state is the same.
Okay.
So yes,
So they have tests day after day.
yes, they have tests, each day.
So
except
why math? It's different, it's separate.
Math is long. It's a very long section, so they want to have them test on consecutive days back to back. In the past, they've gone over a weekend, and that didn't go well with students and scores. So they want to make sure that the days are consecutive, meaning they're back to back. So
And what happened in 23rd?
the 23rd is for fifth grade.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah, that's fifth grade. So that's why I was telling you that I'm going to try to find out if we can test other grades that day. Typically, they don't want us to. They want us to focus on the grade that is testing that day. So that's only fifth. But I will find out if that's the makeup, if we could do makeups on that day. And before I move on, Milestones is a very secure test. This is probably the most secure test that we'll give. And what I mean by secure is that we can't deviate a lot. We can't make our own schedule. We can't give out certain information. When scores come out, we have a date that we can give them out. The state determines everything for this test. So that is why, hi, good morning. So that is why, it's really important that we follow the schedule, but we can't deviate. We can't go around it, anything, because it's a state test. Hello. Hi. We do have another person joining us. Yeah, she can sit either here. I have the camera on.
Okay.
So, just so the other parents can see. So if your students have to do the retest, meaning they did not pass reading or math or both. So for fifth grade, if they did not pass reading and or math, they have to retest. For third grade, if they didn't pass reading, they have to retest.
Fourth grade, they have
Fourth
to
grade,
reading.
fourth grade is, they don't have to retest. It's just third through fifth. So the reason why third through fifth only have to retest is because they're a promotion and retention grade. So the state of Georgia deems third grade and fifth grade as promotion and retention grade. Fourth grade is only a growth year.
Yes. What happened if the child not passing?
If the student doesn't pass milestones, I do have a slide about that. And I'll just tell you guys briefly and then we'll get deeper into it. But the state of Georgia does have a law that if the students do not pass reading in third or reading and math in fifth, then they're up for retention, meaning that they will repeat the grade. Now, there's a meeting that we do have called a retention meeting where parents can appeal that decision. And basically we would just bring in work samples, we would bring in grades, any progress they've made throughout the year, and then we would make a decision based on the documentation that's presented in the meetings. But I'll get more into it once we get to that slide. So the Georgia Milestones have a bunch of different question types. Most of the question types are selected response, which is multiple choice. Constructed response this year will not be for math. So math will not have constructed response this year. Nor will math have extended response. The only time your students will be writing is on the ELA portion this year. And that is because math has new standards. So
What do you mean new standards?
so this year, the Georgia Standards of Excellence changed for math. So because they changed standards, any wording or any standards that change, they legally cannot like make a student write about those standards, or they can't like hold the students accountable to a certain extent for those standards. So this year, they're only going to be held accountable for the selected response in math, but not reconstructed or extended. Next year, they will be held accountable for it. But ELA did not change this year. However, ELA will be changing next year. So they'll be revamping and revitalizing the standards for next year for ELA, meaning next year they probably won't write in ELA. So a lot of changes are happening, but they're good changes because our standards are getting more rigorous. So I like the changes that are being made. 60% of the students take the assessment online in the spring. But that has changed. 100% of our students are online now, with the exception if they have an IEP or a 504 that says they have to test on paper, which no students here do. So all of the students will be testing online, every single student. Again, this is different. The only constructed responses and extended responses you will see will be in ELA. So parents that are online right now, There's no math constructed response and there's no math extended response, only for ELA. So a constructed response is a question, problem, or statement, but there's no answer choice. The student has to write their answer or work out a problem. Extended response is long, like they're writing like a 5-paragraph essay or a 3-paragraph essay based on a prompt or a question. So it requires a longer answer. They're already practicing on this. They've been practicing all year on this in class. So our teachers have been preparing them very well for the extended responses. They typically spend about two or 3 weeks on an extended response. Constructive responses happen daily. They happen frequently. So we're confident that our students have the stamina to tackle a constructive response, which is like a paragraph or 2. An extended response is longer and has a rubric that goes with it. So the students have been practicing on this all year. So the extended writing prompt, which is what I was talking to you about, the students will most likely have to read 2 passages, compare the 2 passages, and then write an essay on how well they answer the question comparing the 2 passages. Sometimes it can be how is the main idea different in this passage than this one? Or how are they the same? How are the characters the same? How are they different? So the students do work on this during the year. We hone in very much on those 2 passages because that's typically what the milestones will present them with, 2 passages. And then they need evidence to support their answer. And again, this is something that we require the teachers to use with RACE. I don't know if your students come home and talk about RACE. But RACE is the graphic organizer that we use and present to the students so they can organize their writing and their ideas. And that is most likely what they're going to be using as help on the extended writing prompt. So if monitors walk around and they have scratch paper, we are expecting our kids to have that RACE on scratch paper to organize their writing and their ideas for the extended writing prompt. And again, this is for ELA only.
And they also have like tree Oreo, so they could have some different types of, for different genres. There are other different graphic organizers that the teachers are teaching them as well. So you can talk to them about which one they're using for which.
Is that just to assess their comprehension and their writing skills, or like what's the?
So it does assess their comprehension of the story, the prompt, and it does assess their writing skills as well.
Okay.
So there's a comprehensive rubric that the state of Georgia uses to score. They look at conventions, grammar, usage, mechanics. They look at ideas, organization. So they look at how well the students are answering the question. And let me say this. Your student does not have to have a 5-paragraph essay. It doesn't have to be long, as long as they answer each part of the question and that their ideas are clear and that they have good organization or cohesiveness, meaning that the ideas follow, they can score 3 or a 4, which is what we're wanting. 3 is proficient, 4 is exemplary. Yeah, so we do tell the teachers to stress to the kids, it's not about the length, it's about the quality.
There's a question by Spark, are milestones graded by people or an algorithm?
So milestones are graded by real people. So real scorers actually grade and score the writing, which is why it takes so long to get back. Now, the selected response, which is the multiple choice, it's most likely graded by a machine, most likely. But the writing is graded by real people, and that's why it takes so long to get back. Because they look at the rubric and they truly look at the student's writing and they score it based on that rubric.
And right now in class, we are using the rubrics with the students and the teachers. Peer review as well, so we're practicing using those rubrics. So it's nothing new for the students, so they can get used to what the rubric looks like and what is expected from them.
So for achievement level, so remember that 3 and that 4 that I mentioned, the 3 and the 4? So that correlates to the achievement level that your student is going to score in. So an achievement level is just a range of scores that defines the specific performance, right? So there's all the way from 1 to 4. 1 is beginning learner, meaning that they are not on grade level. Level 2 is developing learner, meaning that they're almost there, not on grade level, but they're demonstrating some skills. They see some skills. They might be ready for the next grade level, but they're not exactly on grade level. Proficient is 3, meaning your student is on grade level. And distinguished is 4, which is that exemplary level, meaning they're at or above grade level. You guys have any questions in the chat? I can't really see the chat. Oh, thank you so much. Dr. HT got my back on the chat. Thank you, thank you. So this just breaks down the achievement levels more. So just as I stated, the beginning learners do not have demonstrated proficiency on the content standards. Developing learners, they demonstrate partial or some proficiency, and they need additional support in the next grade level, meaning they can go to the next grade level. Proficient learners, this demonstrate proficiency, meaning they're prepared and ready for the next grade level. And then advanced proficiency is our distinguished learners, meaning that they are well prepared and they're at or above grade level. And this is how your student is going to be scored. So when you get the reports whenever they decide to give it to us, they typically give the reports after school's over. Your report will determine and show whether your student is a beginning, developing, proficient.
So only in the summer, the advice out?
So we don't know. It's typically in like the end of May, June, because again, remember the humans are actually scoring the writing portion. And it's all the state of Georgia. So it takes a while for the real raw scores to come back. But we do mail those out to you all. We mail them or we email them to you all. And we have to wait for the state to release them. So we can't, as a district, decide when we want to release scores. The state of Georgia tells the district, you may now release scores. They have been vetted, they have been validated, you may now release them. So unfortunately, we don't make that decision. We have to wait for the state of Georgia to tell us when we can release the scores. So that's why sometimes parents get them late or after school is over because we're waiting on the state of Georgia. So your student is going to receive a Lexile score, and this is demonstrating their reading comprehension level based on the score that they receive on the milestones. So the base score is 520 for 3rd grade. 4th grade is 740 and 5th grade is 830. These numbers correlate to a grade level, reading level. So if your students, if you attended the MAP sessions where we were talking to parents about MAP scores, students have a letter that tell them what reading level they're on. And that's called a Lexile level. And it is measured by Fontes and Pinnell, which are 2 people that created a big reading Lexile quadrant system where they basically correlate letters to reading levels. Of course, we want our students to strive for higher than 520. So we always tell, or 740 or 830. So we always tell our teachers they need to have a higher Lexile level than this, right? Because this is just the base. This is just the base score for them to pass the milestones, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, that's the grade level Lexile they'll need to be successful. So we always tell them to strive for higher. And the way that you get your child's Lexile score up, read every night. every single night. Read, ask your students questions about what they've read and how well they can respond to those questions and how deep they can go, how much information they can extract from the books and the reading will tell you that they're ready. But your child knows their legs out, just ask. Like the teachers always go over it with them. And the teachers group them based on Lexile scores so that your kids know. They know their letter. My son knows his too. I don't know mine though. Okay, so again, this is just going over the types of questions that the students will see. This is not indicative of what will actually be on the milestones. These are just samples of what they may see. This is not what they're gonna see. This is just an example of what they're gonna see. So remember I told you that they're gonna be looking at two texts. This is what the two texts may look like.
Okay.
So the first text is receiving is fun. The second text is the gift of giving. So they'll have to read both of these sets of passages. Once they finish reading those sets of passages, they will then answer questions about both passages. And this is not the writing part. This is the selected response part, just testing their overall comprehension. So do you see how deep it goes? It's asking the student to which pairs of sentences from both passages best show the main ideas of both passages. Meaning your students will have to understand the main idea for both passages first and know how to pick out details from each passage to support the main idea and then answer the questions based on the strategies they used. Then there's some more questions over here. Looks like they're jumbled up, but what's the author of the gift of giving means by saying it pays to give? So that's asking them questions more about like inferencing, context clues. How do I know what this means based on how it's used in the sentence and the passage? And then the second question is in the first paragraph, why does the author of Receiving is Fun state that it doesn't matter what the gift is? This is testing their comprehension again, as well as their context clues and how well they can use those. So those are examples of the selected response. And now the constructed response is the writing portion. The constructed response, again, this is more of a shorter writing sample. So this is asking the authors of The Gift of Giving and Receiving is Fun discussed gift giving and receiving. How are the points they discussed similar? Meaning, how are the main ideas for both passages similar? How are the author's points of view similar? This can be interpreted in many different ways, but I can assure you that our teachers are going over these types of questions and writing prompts with kids every day. So your kids are very familiar with how to pick apart and break down the prompt to answer the question.
Do they typically write out their answers and then type them in, or do they type from the beginning?
They can on their scratch paper, they can write out their ideas on their scratch paper and then they'll have to type in their response. Yeah. So their final response is typed.
Yes. Do you see most of them like writing it out by hand
Yeah.
and then typing it in?
And that's because they practice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they practice it in class.
Right.
So our teachers always have our students typing on the computer,
Right.
especially for writing, so they can practice. But they give them scratch paper in class or graphic organizers in class, so they can start practicing on how to write their ideas out. Again, it's not about the length, it's about the quality. And I'm speaking because I was a fifth grade reading teacher, so I always told my parents, don't have them writing all that stuff. Just it's all about what the quality, what they're saying, not how much they're saying. Okay, so the technology enhanced items are like those items that are like drag and drop items. So like if I have a blank space here, I can like maybe drag and drop some items. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. I can drag and drop items, or I can manipulate the string, or I have a drop down list of things I can pick. So it's just the technology enhanced items are just ways that the kids can manipulate the answers. They can fill in a pie chart on math. So if they click on a pie chart, it may color it for them. They do get practice with this as well, and they're going to get more practice with it as we move closer to milestones.
So what I was showing her, give me just a second. What I was showing her here are two examples of the writing passages that they'll read, and then they usually will answer a question, read, and then they'll see what the instructions are on how they want them to answer.
And parents, what Dr. Harris-Thompson is showing the parents here that are in the school, she's showing them the study guide that I will give you the QR code link to, as well as I will place them on Class Dojo for you guys to download. They're also available on the Georgia Department of Education website. So it's nothing that we're holding. You guys have access to this already, and I'll show you how to get to it. So we did go over writing a little bit, so I'm going to skim through this some more. But again, in ELA, the students will be asked to read 2 passages and write an essay. And the scoring is based on how well the students answer the prompt and the quality. Remember, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And the writing should include organization of ideas and support with evidence from the text. And that will not happen in math. It will only happen in reading this year. So with writing as well, there may be multiple parts to the question. So the first part may answer inferential or key concept questions related to the text. And then the second part is evidence from the text used to support the inference or idea, and it may include more than one answer. So that's like a part A and a part B question. And the students do get practice with that as well. So we are trying to prepare our students as much as possible every day for the types of items they're going to see on the milestones, and using that depth of thinking, the really, really critical depth of thinking to answer these questions correctly. We're very big on making sure that they are exposed to those types of questions. This is what the evidence-based response, selected response looks like. They have to read a passage, and they have to determine theme of the passage or main idea of the passage, and this is part A. Part B is related to the same passage, but then they now have to choose 2 details or 2 answers that support that main idea or that theme for the first part. So it's really important that the students are paying attention to the first question, because the second question is directly related to the first question. And some students get mixed up because they think this is a completely different question, asking you something different. It's not. It's asking you to support your answer for the first question. And this is the writing task that Dr. Harris-Thompson was showing you all. And again, parents, you will have access to this. I will show you how to get access to this. The students will read 2 passages, and this is the long one. This is the extended prompt. So they'll read 2 passages, and they will use a checklist to basically write an essay about the 2 passages. And this is your prompt that the students will read. It will look like this. And this one says the northern oak and the live oak are 2 very different trees. Think about the ideas in the 2 passages, and then type an informational explanatory essay explaining how the northern red oak and the live oak are different. So they'll have to compare the 2 trees that are discussed in both passages using evidence from both pieces of writing. And then they have a checklist that they can use. And the checklist is it? I think it's inside of here. It is. Okay. Yeah, it's right here. So the checklist is very basic. And we do give the students opportunities to work with this checklist throughout the year. So when they see it, they're going to be very familiar with it. It just says introduce the topic clearly, use information from the 2 passages. So it's guiding them on what is needed to answer the question through their writing correctly. I like that. I think kids need a checklist. I think they need something to help. So this is for math. And again, the standards have changed. So these are based on the old standards from last year. They do not have sample items for the new standards, which makes sense because they probably had to do a completely new math section. But they may see questions like this: which fraction is the largest? They have to choose which fraction is the largest. I could never get this one right. So what's the answer, y'all? What's the answer? 1/2. Okay. Yep. And some students may think it's 1/6. They may think it's 1/3. They may think it's 1/4 because the denominators are bigger, but
This is why we're pushing manipulatives, so that children will be able to see it and then remember it when it comes down to it.
and that's a great point, Dr. Harris-Thompson, because when we use the manipulatives, they can't use them on the test. So it's important that they use them during regular instruction so they can start drawing out or remembering the strategy mentally for them to be successful and answer those questions. So that's a good point, Dr. H, for pushing manipulatives now so they can get the abstract concepts down. And this is they will not have a constructed response. So remember that, but this is just an example of what the constructed response did look like as we had them last year, but they will not have it this year. It will be only selected response, but that's how it used to look. So your babies would have to answer a question and then they would have to write about and justify their answer. Again, they will not have this year. They will only have selected response. But next year they will have an opportunity to answer constructed responses in math. And these are just the technology enhanced selections that they'll have. They will see this on the milestones for math because that is a part of the selected response. So the multi-select technology enhanced, they have a part A and a part B, similar to what we just saw for reading. So they have to select two numbers, and then which number rounded to the nearest tenth is less than 11.34 rounded to the nearest tenth. So they'll have to answer this question, and then this question is directly related to the question at the top. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? I can't see the chat, so.
I have a lot of questions. I think I need to meet with you personally.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yes. Will this be David's first time
Yeah.
taking the milestones? Okay.
Yeah, and we hear what, 2 weeks?
Okay, yes. Okay. So yes, we'll talk individually.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the technology
I
enhanced.
really apologize. I have another meeting to run.
It's fine. It's okay.
But I think the most important thing, I got it.
Yes.
Okay. So you go. 1 second.
Thank you.
One second.
Oh, you need her to sign?
Yeah.
Just-
Yes.
Thank you.
Electronic.
Thank you.
Okay, so the technology enhanced item for math, remember I talked to you guys about the fill in. If you click like on a pie chart, it will fill it in for you, or you can drag and drop your numbers. Students are able to manipulate the answers. That is what a technology enhanced item is. They can put symbols, like they can drag the symbols to the yellow box. And as you can see, it filled it in for me. But the technology enhanced items just show more visuals for the kids. It's more interactive for them. So they will encounter items like this for ELA and for math. They will not have an extended response. So I'm gonna go past that. Okay, so the most important people, parents. You all determine how your students perform. Right? You've been helping with teaching them and you've been honing those skills in all year, but now it's time for you to support the students in their performance on the milestones. So be encouraging. Remind them to read the directions carefully. Point out that some of the items will be difficult than others, and the milestones will present normed reference items, meaning items that they may or may not know, or they may not be directly related to the standards that they learned. They throw them in there to kind of balance out the score. Help them get a good night's rest. So if y'all are out late the night before for whatever reason, just make sure your baby goes to sleep in the car while y'all are on the way home. Make sure they've eaten and they're like, go ahead and go to sleep now. We're on the way home soon. Plan a balanced breakfast, which we do feed our students breakfast every day, and it is balanced. Stick to a schedule. So if you are planning on going somewhere or going out of town during the milestones, we really discourage that. We really want you all to start planning ahead and just knowing that your students have this test and to keep them here. But, things happen. We do have makeup days for them if they are unable to make one of the sessions, but we highly, highly, highly encourage our parents to work around our schedule for milestones. And don't focus your questions too heavily on the test. This is a high stakes test. This is very important for the kids, but they're kids. And we want our kids to show how smart they are, but we don't want to induce anxiety. So we do have Dr. Hamilton here. She's amazing. She starts the conversations about test anxiety with the certain students who the teachers feel might have some anxiety during the test. So she has small sessions with them leading up to the test. So we do that as a layer of support for our students who are not the best test takers. And all of our students aren't. But we do encourage them to do their best here as well.
Miss Bishop, I have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, it's Candace.
Hey.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey.
My question is, are the students in third and fifth told of the importance of this test? How much is kind of, emphasized to them to sort of increase that potential anxiety, or are they just, is it business as usual?
It's business as usual.
Okay.
The teachers, we start day one with preparing them for milestones. So it has become their normal routine to see these types of items, to work with this type of writing. We do talk to them about the milestones, and we do tell the third and fifth grade students that it is important that they, that they try their best throughout the year and that they really work hard. But we do not focus heavily on like, you gotta pass this test or else. Like we don't make it an all or nothing. We just tell them to show us how smart they are. And they take a lot of tests during the year, a lot. So when they are presented with the milestones before that, we try to relax them. We have a pep rally that we're planning as well. So we just try to we try to focus the conversation more so on show us how smart you are. Not so much on you gotta pass this test. You have to do well. We just say, show us how smart you are. And we just encourage them and motivate them with incentives and positive reinforcement. So it should be business as usual for all students because again, we start day one with preparing them.
Okay, perfect.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, that helps a ton. Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't worry, I have a 12-year-old and he has to take the milestones too. And he's not the best test taker, just personal disclosure. So I have to focus my conversations more so on just do your best, do the best you can. Mommy's gonna love you either way, you're smart either way. So I do a lot of pouring into him during the time he has to take his milestones as well. That helps. And I will email this out to you all because I know you all online can't necessarily scan. However, if you can scan, go ahead. These are the milestone study guides for third, fourth, and fifth. This information is not embargoed, meaning you have access to this as well. It is public. We use these study guides in class, and you guys can use them at home as well. They unfortunately do not have translated study guides, but your students battery's running low. Your students do work with these study guides with their teachers every day. And I'll give you guys a chance to scan them. And I'll also email this out along with the links for the study guide, so you will have an opportunity to experience them as well. So I'm gonna move.
Are you gonna send the via dojo?
Yes.
Y ya me cambié
Yes.
todo.
And we do have we have our Spanish session at 4 p.m. this afternoon. So all the information that I'm saying will be translated this afternoon.
Información más atrás.
And it'll be most likely posted either in the morning once it downloads. So that'll be tomorrow morning
Mañana.
for Spanish speaking families.
That's it.
And something new this year, because the math standards changed, they do not have online study guides that you can download. You have to go to Georgia Online Experience. And that is the first QR code here. If you scan it, it will take you to a portal that will show you where the math study guides are. And once we get out of the presentation, we can play around a little bit and I'll show you guys how to get to all of the resources. And then if you have a baby that is in 5th grade, then the science study guide is below. They do take science. And I don't know if I mentioned parents, but science is selected response only. So if you have a 5th grader who is taking science, they will not have any constructed response. They will not have extended response. They will only have selected response. Okay, and that's it. I'm so happy that you guys logged in, and we're going to now do a little bit of playing around and showing you all where the resources are. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, so the typical test time. So the typical test times do vary based on the content. So the ELA days, the days that they take ELA, sections 1, 2, and 3 are the longest days. They can go all the way up to, depending on the section, 120 minutes to 90 minutes. The writing is 120 minutes, so that's the 3rd day. That is the longest day. So again, your students have been working on their writing stamina all year, but just prepare them, and we tell them too, that 3rd day is the longest day because they're writing and answering questions about the passages. And to answer your question even further, the typical testing times do depend on the students who have documented accommodations. So if your students have 504 or IEP accommodations, or if they're an ESOL student, their test times are going to look different. They have extended time to test. Math is the same. Math is typically about 85 to 90 minutes per section. Again, now that they don't have the writing component for math, we expect our kids to probably finish a little bit quicker than previous years. And then science is the shortest at about 50 to 55. So they don't take that long on science. Sometimes they finish before then because it's all multiple choice. And that's only for our 5th graders. Okay, so I am going to come out of the PowerPoint presentation, and now I'm going to show you guys how to get to the resources. Can you all still see my screen? Yes. Okay.
I cannot at this moment. I just see
Okay.
everybody in the room.
Just stop sharing.
Okay, all right, let me go back and reshare again, and then I can show you guys how to get to the resources. Okay, what about now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. So I'm going to open up a new tab. So just act as if you are logging into your computer. I'm going to type in Georgia Milestones DOE Parent Resources, and I'm just Googling it because unfortunately it's not that easy to get to. if you're going straight from the DOE website. So guys, if you just Google Georgia Milestones resources, the first thing that's going to come up are the resources. Click on the first link you see. See how much it's going to take you to get, it's going to take you a lot. That's why I just Google. So the parent resources, there's a parent Q&A for Spanish and English, which is what I am going to post. In addition to, there are the study guides that I gave you all links to. Math is within the
Oh, there they are. Hi, we're here. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. Hey, y'all. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I do apologize, parents. My computer went to sleep. And it looks like it is still recording, which is great. Thank you, teams. It's probably about to connect now. Okay, perfect. Can you guys see and hear? Okay, let's see. Okay, good. So, all right. So I have one parent who's confirmed that they can see. Yeah, if you could just drop a comment in the chat just to confirm your if you can see or not. And then I'm going to move on. All right, so I do apologize again, but where were we? We were Googling Georgia Milestones parent resources. Oh, no, let me go back and share it. And I'm going to share my screen. I do apologize. Mm-hmm. Okay, can you guys see? Okay, it looks like I can see. Yeah, it's mirroring. Perfect. Okay, so now we're back. So the Georgia Milestones resources, there are parent resources, and then there are also like educator resources as well that we use. There are achievement level descriptors for parents. Those are the beginning, developing, proficient, and distinguished levels. They also have those like explained more in depth on a pamphlet. The most important thing I wanted to show you was the Georgia Online experience, which is the QR code that you scanned on the second slide of QR codes. That's here. So it should have taken you to this. Does that look familiar if you scanned it? Okay. So as a parent, I want to click on the green check mark that says test practice and online guides. So for your students, you all take the end of grade. You're going to go to online tools training. And as you can see, there's test practice and there's study guides and assessment guides for educators. You all will want to click on EOG study guide for students and parents. And I did give you access to the ELA standard, the ELA study guides. Math is housed here. So you'll have access to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade study guides if you go into the Georgia Online Experience platform. They do not have ELA, just math, science, and social studies here for select grades. So if you click on it, I'm just going to click on one. It will bring you to, well, Herb Computer's not, we're not on Chrome, but Chrome will need, Chrome will need to be used to do the online, to access the online study guide. So if your computer has Chrome, you're good. If you have a MacBook, Safari may not work. You may need to download the latest version of Chrome to access the study guides. But if you do have Chrome, it will take you to the study guide.
Are you in, I don't know where, am I in Safari or is that?
You're in Safari. You're in Safari right now. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Let me go back to the meeting. Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay. I'm going to type in any questions just in case I lost anyone. Okay. All right, let's go back to the Georgia DOE page. So again, the Q&A, the parent Q&A for English and Spanish are going to be posted on Dojo for you all to access. In addition to, if you need additional help with getting to Georgia DOE, then I will post the link for you all so you can one time click it and not have to do all the Google searches. And again, the online, the experience online only has the math and science study guide. ELA study guides are all here. So if you go to the link that I'm going to send to you all, you have access to it through the DOE website. And then that is it. These are all for administrators and for, of course, there's some students resources, which is the experience online for the practice tests. We are not middle school, but they do have to, you know, they use formula sheets and graph paper, so it just shows them how to use it if they're in middle school. And this is for teachers, and the teachers are very familiar with this section because I send them all of those resources and they work with them in their normal instruction. Okay, and then that is it. What is the typical passing rate? So there's really not a typical passing rate. It really depends on the student. Last year, our students did really well. We did make progress on content and closing the gap, which means that our students are mastering content for reading and for math. Science, we did see a dip because of STEM. Me and Dr. Harris-Thompson have had a lot of conversations about this. Our students need a STEM teacher. They need STEM to come back full force in Kingsley, and I feel like we'll see better scores in science. But for reading and math for our 3rd graders, they typically do well, and based on our CCRPI scores and our progress we've made, our students are doing a lot better with reading and math.
And they need a 2. So that may be, I'm wondering, is that
Is
the
that
other
the-
question you're asking? And that's, the 3 is proficient on grade level, but the 2 is what the students will need for ELA. And then they'll need on grade level for their Lexile level.
Does that answer your question, Mrs. Quirk? Were you asking about were you asking about the score they need to pass, or were you asking about how our students typically perform?
I think, yeah, you answered it in both, so that's perfect.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Yep, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we didn't know. So again, just to reemphasize what Dr. Harris-Thompson was saying, students need a 2, which is a developing learner achievement level, to go to the next grade level. We want them all to be 3s and 4s, so we're striving for 3s and 4s. That not only shows us that they're on grade level, but it also shows us that they're prepared for the next grade level, meaning they're going to do well. Developing learners, sometimes it depends. It could be test performance, or it could be that they need additional supports. And we do put those additional supports in place when they go to the next grade level. But if your student scores a 1, they're beginning, meaning they did not pass the milestones, meaning they are possibly up for retention if they don't pass the retest portion. So they do get a chance to retest. Did you guys have any additional questions about the milestones or testing, or did I answer most of them? Okay, I'm going to take that silence as no questions. Thank you guys so much. And if you guys could just say thank you in the chat, just so I can document the attendance for the meeting. And then and can you guys give us a rating in the chat? Like, how do we do from 1 to 10? Okay, 1 to 5. I'm an overachiever. I like 10. Thank you, Mrs. Quirk. Mrs. Swan, yeah, 5 or 10. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Roberts, how did we do? She's in person.
10 out of 10.
All right. Thank you. Okay, perfect. I thought we had one more parent, Mrs. Ziegler, but
we got another 10 over here.
we got another 10. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to end the recording.